The night was quiet on the desert world of Vera 9, too quiet for comfort. The red wind howled between the metal towers of the small human outpost, whispering through the cracks like ghosts of the old wars. Inside a lonely workshop, a man worked under a single dim light. Eli Turner, a human engineer, had been sent here to fix broken drones and power systems. He liked the silence. Machines did not argue or lie. The only sound was the low hum of his tools and the distant beat of a sandstorm outside. He was cleaning an old robotic arm when something strange happened. His radio, silent for days, crackled for a second. Then he heard it, a sound so faint it could have been the wind. But it wasn't, it was a cry, a small trembling cry that didn't belong to any machine or human. Eli froze. He turned off his tools and listened. The sound came again, soft, weak, desperate. He walked to the window and looked out. The desert stretched endlessly, lit only by the twin moons. For a moment he thought his mind was playing tricks on him, but then he saw movement, something crawling, dragging itself through the sand. Without thinking, he grabbed his flashlight and a jacket. The wind bit his face as he stepped outside, sand cutting across his skin like tiny knives. He followed the sound, his boots sinking into the red dust. The closer he got, the louder the cries became. Finally, his light caught something small. No, someone small. A child lying half buried in the sand. Its skin glowed faint blue under the light, its eyes huge and glassy like liquid silver. One of its limbs, something like an arm, was missing, torn off just above the joint. Eli's breath caught. It wasn't human. He had seen pictures of this species before in old military files. Zerons, the race that had fought humanity 50 years ago. They were known for their intelligence and for their hatred. Every human on Vera 9 was told to report any alien contact immediately. But this one was just a child. The little creature looked up at him, terrified, and tried to crawl away. It fell on its side, crying softly in a voice that was almost musical. Eli knelt beside it. Hey, easy, he said softly. You're hurt. The alien flinched when he reached out. Eli could see the blood, or something like it, glowing faint blue around the wound. The edges shimmered like broken glass. It was dying. Eli looked back toward the outpost. He knew he should leave it there, call command, let them deal with it. That was the rule. But the thought of leaving a child to die in the sand made his stomach twist. All right, kid, he muttered. Come on, let's get you out of the storm. He lifted the small body into his arms. It was lighter than he expected, fragile, trembling. The child made a weak sound, half a word, maybe. Eli leaned closer. Queen. Then it went still. By the time Eli reached his workshop, the wind was howling harder. He kicked the door shut and laid the child on his work table. Hang on, he said, even though he wasn't sure it could hear him. He cleaned the wound as best he could. The alien's biology was strange. Its veins glowed faintly. Its skin shifted colors under the light. The missing limb had been torn clean off, leaving smooth tissue that pulsed like light beneath glass. Eli's hands shook. He wasn't a doctor, but he was an engineer, and he knew how to build things that moved. Maybe he could build something to keep it alive. He grabbed one of his robotic arms from the corner, the kind used for heavy lifting, and started taking it apart. He worked fast, using tools, wires, and synthetic skin material. Hours passed. The child's breathing was shallow, its chest rising and falling slowly. Once its eyes opened again. It looked around the workshop, frightened. Don't move, Eli whispered. You're safe now. The alien blinked at him. Its pupils shifted like stars, and for a moment Eli thought he saw understanding in them. It tried to speak, but no sound came. Save your strength, he said. We'll talk later. Outside, the storm began to fade. The sky turned deep purple as dawn approached. Eli wiped the sweat from his forehead and stared at the mechanical limb on his bench. He wasn't sure if it would work. He wasn't even sure if attaching it was possible. But doing nothing felt worse. He looked at the child again. There was something peaceful in its face now. Something innocent. Not a soldier, not a monster, just a child. He sighed. What the hell am I doing? Then he picked up his tools again. As he started working, the light above him flickered. The power grid was unstable. He didn't notice the soft beep from his radar. Console in the corner, the signal showing. Something entering the planet's atmosphere. He was too busy focusing on the tiny heartbeat in front of him. The desert outside was silent now. The wind had stopped. The first sunlight touched the horizon, and far above, hidden behind the clouds, something vast moved through the sky, shimmering metal wings spreading across the dawn. Eli looked up for a moment, sensing the change in the air. A shadow passed across the window. He frowned, but the child stirred, and his attention returned to it. He didn't see the sky burning faint red. He didn't see the first alien ship entering orbit. He only heard a soft sound, a whisper from the small creature on his table. "Queen?" Eli froze again. The same word. The same voice. He stared at the door, heart pounding. Something was coming. He could feel it, but it was too late to turn back now. He took a deep breath, looked down at the alien child and whispered, "Let's fix you before your queen finds me." Outside, the sky began to rumble. The morning came quietly on Vera 9. A soft red light filled the workshop, touching broken machines and scattered metal parts. The desert outside still shimmered from last night's storm, as if the planet itself was trying to breathe again. Inside, Eli Turner hadn't slept. His eyes were red from exhaustion, and his hands trembled from hours of work. The alien child still lay on the table, small, pale, and fragile, its chest rising and falling slowly. Eli had cleaned the wound as best as he could. He had sealed the bleeding tissue with a gel meant for human skin, hoping it would hold, but the missing limb haunted him. The child would never survive long without it. He stood over the table, rubbing his chin. "You're not like anything I've seen," he whispered. "But maybe—" "You're not so different either." He pulled out his box of spare parts, gears, joints, carbon fiber wires, a small processor chip from an old mining drone. His mind began to work faster. He had built exosuits before, artificial arms for soldiers and mechanical assistance for injured miners. But this was alive. He decided to take the risk. He switched on his small holographic display and scanned the alien's other arm. The device projected a thin blue outline, showing strange patterns. Bones made of crystal threads, energy veins that pulsed like light. The design was beautiful and complex, almost artistic. Eli smiled weakly. "Let's make something worthy of you." Hours passed. He shaped the limb piece by piece, cutting metal plates thin as leaves, wiring them with fiber that could carry both motion and warmth. Each piece clicked together like music, a quiet rhythm that filled the silence of the workshop. Every so often he glanced at the child. Its face was calm now, but it still murmured softly in its sleep, words he couldn't understand. At one point, Eli noticed something strange. The alien's body temperature dropped suddenly. Its skin turned a dull gray blue. "Hey, no," he muttered. He ran to his tools and connected a small power cable to the table. A soft hum filled the air as energy flowed into the alien's body. Slowly, the faint glow in its veins returned. Eli exhaled in relief. "You're tougher than you look, kid." As evening approached, the limb was finally ready. It wasn't perfect, rough metal, mismatched joints, but it looked alive. The wires beneath the surface pulsed faintly, imitating the glow of the alien's veins. Eli placed it beside the child and whispered, "Now or never." He began the connection process carefully. He used a fine tool to merge the metal base with the alien's organic tissue. The smell of hot circuits and glowing gel filled the air. Sparks flickered. For a second, the child's body jerked in pain. Eli flinched. "I'm sorry, hold on." He steadied his hand. The machines beeped faster, showing energy levels rising. The lights in the room dimmed as power drained into the limb. Then silence. The mechanical arm twitched. Once, twice, and then slowly, the alien's new fingers curled. Eli's eyes widened. The limb was moving. It was alive. The alien's eyes opened suddenly. Bright silver orbs filled with shock and fear. It sat up, trembling, its new arm glowing softly. Eli stepped back, unsure what to do. "It's okay," he said softly. "You're safe. I'm not here to hurt you." The alien looked at him with confusion, then at its new arm. It flexed its fingers, the sound of tiny servos humming quietly. It touched its face with the new limb and blinked rapidly, as if realizing it was truly connected. Eli smiled. "It works," the alien tried to speak. Its voice was like a melody broken into pieces, soft, vibrating. Luma." Eli tilted his head. "Luma, is that your name?" The alien nodded slowly. "All right then, Luma," he said with a tired grin. "I'm Eli. Welcome back to the world." Luma tilted her head, studying his face. Her eyes softened. She reached out, hesitantly. and touched his wrist with her metal hand. It was warm, Eli laughed quietly. Yeah, feels real, doesn't it? As night came again, Eli gave Luma some water and a soft blanket. She sat quietly near the window, staring at the stars. Every few minutes, her mechanical arm flickered with small lights, as if syncing with her heartbeat. Eli watched her from the workbench, repairing his scanner. He noticed how she kept glancing toward the sky, whispering words in her language. "What are you looking for?" he asked. Luma turned her head slowly. Her voice trembled. "Queen will come." The word sent a chill down his spine. "Your Queen?" She nodded. "She find me. Always find." Eli didn't know what to say. He looked up at the stars too, endless and cold. Somewhere out there, a queen of an alien empire was searching for her lost child, and he was the human who had touched royal blood. Later that night, as Eli drifted off in his chair, the radar console beeped again, a soft rhythmic pulse. Unidentified signals, large objects entering orbit. Luma opened her eyes suddenly. The lights in her new arm glowed brighter. She whispered something in fear, clutching her chest. Outside, beyond the clouds, red streaks moved across the sky, silent, fast, and deliberate. Eli didn't see them. He was asleep, dreaming of peace that would not last. Luma looked out the window one last time, her glowing eyes reflecting the light of the descending ships. "Queen," she whispered again. The wind began to howl. The second night on Vera 9 was darker than usual. The wind had stopped. Even the machines outside Eli's workshop had gone silent, as if the planet was holding its breath. Eli Turner woke up in his chair with a jolt. The radar console was still blinking faintly, a small red light flashing every few seconds. He rubbed his tired eyes, thinking it was a malfunction, but the blinking didn't stop. It was steady, precise. He walked to the console, adjusted the dial, and frowned. There were signals, dozens of them. Something massive was in orbit above the planet. "Satellites," he muttered. No, the radar pattern was too dense, too organized. "Ships." He stared at the screen. They weren't human. Behind him, a soft metallic sound echoed, a quiet clink of metal fingers. Luma was awake. She stood by the window, her new arm glowing softly in the dark. The faint light painted silver lines across her face. Her eyes looked distant, afraid, yet calm in a strange way, like someone who already knew the storm was coming. Eli turned to her. "Hey, you shouldn't be up. You need rest." Luma didn't answer. She kept staring at the stars through the glass. After a moment, she whispered, "They found me." Eli frowned. "Who found you?" She turned toward him slowly. "The Queen. My mother." The words hit him like a shock wave. He blinked, unsure if he heard her right. "Your mother?" Luma nodded once. "She will come. She will burn everything." Eli's stomach tightened. "Burn? Wait, no, she can't know you're here." "She knows," Luma said quietly. "She always knows. I'm her blood." Eli stepped closer, his voice firm but gentle. "Listen, Luma, I saved you. I built that arm so you could live. I don't want a war. You understand?" Luma looked down at her arm, the metal fingers flexing, glowing faintly like veins of fire. "She will not see it that way. She will think, you took me." Eli froze. His mind raced. If the Queen thought humans had captured her daughter, then, "Oh no," he whispered. He rushed to the comms unit, trying to reach the central outpost. Static. He changed the frequency. Still nothing. The storm must have damaged the signal relay. He hit the console with his fist. Damn it! No connection. Outside, a faint tremor shook the sand. The lights flickered. Luma's silver eyes widened. They are close. Minutes later, the sky began to change. The twin moons dimmed as something vast passed in front of them, a shape too large to understand, stretching across the horizon. Then came the light, silent, blue, rippling through the clouds like waves in the ocean. Eli stepped outside, shielding his eyes. There they were, ships. Not like human vessels with straight lines and cold metal. These ships looked alive, breathing, covered in glowing scales that shimmered like liquid glass. Each one pulsed softly, like the heartbeat of a creature in the sky. Eli whispered, "That's not a fleet. That's a kingdom." Dozens of ships hovered silently, their engines glowing with energy that made the air hum. A low vibration filled the ground beneath his boots. The sky above looked alive, angry and watchful. He felt small, fragile, and terribly human. Inside the workshop, Luma stood near the door, trembling. Her eyes flickered between blue and silver, fear mixed with something else. Guilt. Eli ran back inside. "We have to hide you. If they see you here, we're both done." Luma shook her head. "No hiding. She already knows where I am. She can feel me." Eli stared at her. "How?" "The bond," Luma whispered. "When I was born, she marked me with her light. It connects us forever. Even now, she feels my heart." Eli looked at the glowing metal limb he had built, the human technology now fused with alien life. Maybe that connection was what drew them here faster. He sighed. "Then we don't have much time." The ground trembled again. Outside, one of the massive ships descended lower. Its shadow covered the desert, swallowing the horizon. Beams of light scanned the surface, moving like eyes. Eli could feel the power in the air, electric, heavy, ancient. The tools on his bench rattled. The lights flickered again. He ran to his emergency locker, grabbing a shock rifle. "Stay behind me," he said. Luma's voice was soft. "They will not hurt me." "Maybe not," Eli said, "but they'll hurt me." He positioned himself near the door as the sand outside began to rise, pulled upward by invisible energy. The roar of engines filled the air. Then, silence. A beam of blue light shot down from the ship, forming a circle in the sand. The light twisted, then solidified, becoming a tall, glowing figure surrounded by armored guards. Eli's eyes widened. "She's here," Luma whispered. The Queen of the Zerons had arrived. For a moment, Eli couldn't move. The Queen's presence filled the air like heat. Even from a distance, he could feel her power pressing against his chest. Her form shimmered, tall, radiant, crowned with light. Her eyes were pure energy, sharp and ancient. Eli swallowed hard. "Oh no," the Queen's voice echoed, not through sound but through the air itself. "Human, you have something that belongs to me." Eli looked down at Luma. Luma's mechanical arm glowed brightly, the energy pulsing faster and faster. He whispered, "She means you." The Queen's voice grew louder, colder. "Bring her to me, or I will tear this world apart." Eli tightened his grip on the rifle, though he knew it was useless. His heart raced. Sweat dripped down his face. He glanced at Luma, terrified, trembling, clutching his sleeve like a scared child. He whispered, "I'm not giving you up." Outside, the Queen raised her hand. The ground cracked open, light spilling from the earth like fire, and above them the sky began to burn. The sky over Vera 9 had turned into fire. The alien ships hung like glowing scars above the desert, silent but full of power. Each one shimmered with pale light, forming patterns like veins across the darkness. The ground trembled as their energy pulsed through the air. Eli Turner stood in the open, the dry wind brushing past his face. Behind him, the small workshop looked fragile, a box of metal against the storm of giants. Beside him stood Luma, her silver eyes filled with both fear and longing. Her new arm, the one Eli had crafted, glowed brighter than before, pulsing in rhythm with the lights in the sky. She whispered, "She's near." Eli glanced down at her. "Your mother?" Luma nodded. Her voice shook. The Queen. The air changed. The sand began to lift, swirling upward like dust caught in slow motion. A deep vibration rolled through the ground, not like thunder, but like the heartbeat of a planet. Then, from the largest ship above, a shaft of blue light shot downward. It struck the desert floor only a few meters away, blasting the sand into glass. Out of that light, shapes began to form. Tall figures of pure silver, armored from head to toe. Their eyes glowed faint gold. They stepped forward like living statues. Behind them, the light shifted again, and she appeared, the Queen of the Zerans. Her form shimmered as she descended, tall and graceful, her body wrapped in a flowing aura of white and gold energy. Her skin looked like living crystal, and her face carried the kind of beauty that demanded silence. A crown of light floated above her head, spinning slowly, as if alive. Eli had seen many strange things in his life, but nothing like this. His knees almost buckled from the pressure in the air. Luma fell to the ground, bowing low, trembling. "Mother," she whispered. The Queen's voice came like an echo from all directions, soft yet terrible. "My child." Her eyes turned toward Eli. They were endless, sharp as blades of glass. And the human who touched royal blood. Eli took a step back, his throat dry. "I didn't mean harm," he said quickly. "She was dying. I helped her." The Queen tilted her head slightly. Her gaze flicked to Luma's new arm. The metal glowed faintly beneath her aura. "You altered her." Eli swallowed. "I replaced what she lost." The Queen's guards stepped forward, raising their glowing spears. The air hissed around their weapons. Luma stood up, clutching Eli's sleeve. "No, he saved me!" "He helped me." The Queen's eyes softened for the smallest moment. The lights around her dimmed slightly. "Saved you?" she asked. "With human metal?" Luma looked down at her arm. "It's part of me now." "I feel it." The Queen stared at the limb. The energy inside her shifted, anger mixed with wonder. She stepped closer. The sand melted under her feet, but Eli didn't move. He met her gaze, afraid but steady. "She was bleeding out," he said quietly. "I didn't know who she was. I just knew she was a child." The Queen stopped only a few feet away. The light around her shimmered like heat. "You expect me to believe you risked your life? For one of us?" Eli nodded. "Yes, because I've seen too much death already." For a moment, the only sound was the wind. The Queen looked at him, then at Luma, who stood between them like a bridge between two worlds. One of the guards stepped forward. "My Queen," he said, his voice metallic and cold. "This human should be punished." His hands touched royal flesh. "His tools corrupted our blood." Another guard added, "The code demands it." The Queen lifted her hand. The guards fell silent instantly. Her eyes returned to Eli. "What you have done, it cannot be undone." Eli stood still. "Maybe not," he said softly. "But maybe it can mean something." The Queen tilted her head slightly. "Mean something?" He nodded. "She's alive." "Isn't that what matters?" Luma turned to her mother, tears forming in her bright eyes. "Please, don't hurt him." "He made me whole again." The Queen's aura flickered like a flame in the wind. For the first time, she seemed unsure. She stepped closer to her daughter and touched the metal limb gently. It hummed softly, responding to her touch. The Queen's expression changed, not anger, but deep thought. The limb was alive, fused perfectly with her daughter's energy. Human engineering and Zeran life had become one. "How did you do this?" she whispered. Eli hesitated. "I didn't think. I just built it like I would for one of us." The Queen looked up sharply. "You speak as if we are the same." Eli met her gaze. "Maybe not the same, but not as different as we think." The wind fell silent again. The guards waited for orders. The Queen stood tall, her aura glowing brighter now, not with rage, but something else. Curiosity. Finally, she turned away. "You will come with us, human." Eli froze. "What?" "You repaired royal blood. You carry forbidden knowledge. You will answer for it before the council." Luma's voice trembled. "No, he'll be killed." The Queen looked at her daughter gently. "No, child. Not yet." Eli exhaled slowly. He had no weapon strong enough, no escape possible. The sky was full of their ships. He looked at Luma. "It's okay," he whispered. "Maybe this is how peace starts." Luma's hand tightened on his sleeve. "I'm scared." "So am I," Eli said softly. "But we face it together." The Queen raised her hand again. Light wrapped around Eli and Luma like threads of energy. The ground vanished beneath their feet. As the light consumed them, Eli's last sight of the desert was his empty workshop. Quiet, waiting, lonely once again. Then everything turned white. Light surrounded Eli Turner like water. It wasn't cold. It wasn't warm. It was alive, humming softly, carrying him and Luma upward through a tunnel of shifting colors. The desert faded below until it became a memory. Then the light vanished. He stumbled forward and found himself standing on a surface that looked like glass, yet it moved gently under his feet, as if it were breathing. The air was clear, faintly blue, filled with soft whispers, the kind of sound made by wind moving through a forest. But this was no forest. He was standing inside an alien ship. No, a floating palace. Massive pillars of living crystal rose into the sky. They pulsed with soft gold light. The walls shimmered with patterns that shifted like water. Every few seconds, faint energy waves rippled through the floor, reminding him that this place was alive. Luma stood beside him, her new limb glowing faintly, blending perfectly with the ship's light. Her silver eyes reflected the vast beauty around them. Eli whispered, "This is incredible." Luma looked up. The Queen's ship, heart of the Zeron fleet. A group of tall guards appeared, silent and still as statues. They wore smooth silver armor that reflected every flicker of light. Between them, a glowing path opened, leading toward a huge doorway shaped like an open flower. Luma reached for Eli's hand. "Don't speak unless she asks. And don't lie." "I wasn't planning to," Eli said quietly. The guards led them inside. The chamber beyond was vast, round, endless, and full of color. Floating crystals spun in the air, creating gentle tones like distant bells. In the center stood a wide platform surrounded by rings of light, and there, on a throne made of living light, sat the Queen. She was calm now, her aura softer but still powerful. The crown above her head turned slowly, glowing with threads of gold and silver energy. Around her stood several tall figures, Zeron elders, their faces hidden behind translucent masks. When Eli and Luma stepped onto the platform, the floor rippled under their feet. The Queen's eyes followed every movement. "Human," she said, her voice calm but deep. "You stand before the Zeron Council. You altered royal blood. You built what should not exist. Do you understand the weight of your actions?" Eli took a breath. His voice came out quiet but steady. "Yes, Your Majesty. I understand. But I didn't harm her. I saved her." A low murmur filled the chamber. The elders turned their heads toward each other. One of them spoke, his voice sharp like breaking glass. "Saved her? You infected her. Look at that thing on her arm. It's unnatural." Eli turned toward him. "It's life," he said. "It's movement. She can touch, lift, and feel again. What's unnatural about that?" The elder hissed. "You use machines to replace flesh. You do not respect the soul." Eli's jaw tightened. "Where I come from, we build to heal. We don't let children die if we can stop it." The chamber fell silent again. The Queen leaned forward slightly. Her eyes glowed brighter. "You speak of healing," she said slowly. "Yet your kind once built weapons that burned worlds." Eli looked down. "Yes, we did. And I'm not proud of it. But maybe that's why I did this. Because I was tired of seeing life end when it didn't have to." Luma stepped forward suddenly. "Mother, he's not lying. I felt his heart when he helped me. He was afraid, but he stayed. He could have left me in the sand." The Queen's gaze softened for a moment, then shifted back to Eli. "What did you feel when you saw her?" Eli hesitated, then said, "Small, guilty, human, and yet you acted." He nodded. "Because no one else would." One of the elders spoke again, his tone angry. "Majesty, we cannot let this act go unpunished. He must be erased and the child purified." Luma cried out, "No!" The Queen raised her hand. Silence. Her aura grew dimmer, almost thoughtful. She turned toward Luma, then slowly approached Eli. The light under her feet followed her, blooming like petals wherever she stepped. She stopped just inches away from him. Her presence was overwhelming, warm, radiant, impossible to ignore. You built something that even we cannot, she said softly. Our kind can grow limbs again, but never metal that breathes. How did you make this arm live? Eli shrugged slightly. I didn't plan for it to live. It just did. Maybe because I wanted it to. The Queen studied him closely. You willed it, he nodded. I think kindness gives things life, same as energy does. The Queen stared at him for a long time, then turned her eyes toward her daughter's arm. The golden light reflected in her face. Finally, she said, Perhaps creation born from mercy is not corruption. The elders murmured again, uneasy. One of them stepped forward. Majesty, the Queen's voice cut through like lightning. Enough, she looked at Eli again. Her expression unreadable. You will not be executed. Luma gasped with relief, but the Queen raised her hand. However, you will not leave. You will teach us what you have done. You will explain how human hands gave life to metal. Until then, you are bound to my ship. Eli exhaled slowly, half relieved, half trapped. So, I'm your guest? The Queen's lips curved slightly. You are my responsibility. As the guards led Eli to his quarters, Luma followed beside him, her new arm glowing softly in the dim corridor. Eli glanced at her. So, am I in trouble? She smiled faintly. Not yet. Behind them, the Queen sat alone in her chamber, staring at her daughter's holographic image. Her hand touched the air where the metal limb shone brightest. In her voice, a whisper barely left her lips. A human who builds life. Perhaps our war was a mistake. And far outside, the stars shifted, as if the universe itself had started to listen. The days that followed felt strange to Eli Turner. He lived inside a ship that wasn't built, and it was grown. The walls pulsed like veins, alive with soft blue light. The air hummed quietly, as if the ship itself listened to every word. Sometimes he forgot he was a prisoner. Other times the silence reminded him. Every hallway had guards, silent, tall, watching. He wasn't allowed near the control rooms or the outer decks. But every morning, Luma visited him, bringing strange fruits that glowed faintly in the dark. She always smiled even when the guards frowned. Her new arm, the one Eli built, now pulsed brighter than ever. The metal seemed to change each day, adapting to her body, learning her rhythm. It moved as smoothly as her real limbs. Sometimes it even glowed in colors when she laughed. Eli couldn't explain it. He didn't design it to evolve. It was doing something on its own. One morning, while Eli was sketching designs on the smooth glass floor, the door slid open. The Queen entered, and quiet, graceful, surrounded by soft light. Eli stood quickly. Your Majesty. The Queen waved her hand slightly. No need. You are not my enemy. Her voice was calm, but her eyes studied everything, his notes, his tools, even his expression. She stepped closer to the table. You have been working, Eli nodded. Trying to understand how your energy connects with the metal. It's unlike anything we've seen. The Queen looked down at the drawing, a design of Luma's limb showing how human circuits had fused with Zeron energy threads. Her eyes glowed faintly. You have done what our scientists failed to do for centuries. I didn't plan it, Eli said quietly. I just wanted her to live. The Queen turned toward him. That is what makes it powerful. Behind her, one of the elders entered, tall, cloaked in white light. His voice was sharp. Majesty, forgive me, but this is dangerous. His creation feeds on our energy. It could spread. It could corrupt our kind. Eli frowned. It's not corruption. It's connection. The elder glared at him. You speak of unity, but your kind destroyed unity. You built machines that killed millions. Eli's voice hardened. And I built one that saved your child. Linz fell. Even the Queen's aura dimmed for a moment. Then she said softly, Enough. The elder bowed stiffly and left, his footsteps echoing down the hall. Eli exhaled. I don't think he likes me. The Queen almost smiled. He fears you. Fear is the strongest root of hate. She studied him again. You created life with your hands, and now my court is divided. Half see you as a savior, half see you as a threat. Eli looked down. And what do you see? The Queen was silent for a long time. Then she said, I see possibility. Later that night, Eli sat in his chamber, unable to sleep. The lights of the ship dimmed slowly, mimicking nightfall. Outside his window, the stars moved past like rivers of silver. He could hear faint voices echoing through the walls. The ship was alive, carrying whispers between rooms. He thought about home, about Earth, the dirt roads, the blue sky, the feeling of real air. He missed it, but part of him also wondered, was this where he was supposed to be? A soft knock came at the door. "Come in," he said. Luma stepped inside, her glowing arm lighting the room. She looked worried. "They are fighting," she whispered. Eli sat up. "Who?" "The council. Some want to destroy the arm. Others want to copy it," he frowned. "Copy it?" Luma nodded. "They say it could make our warriors stronger. Half flesh, half metal. They want to turn your gift into a weapon." Eli's stomach twisted. "That's not what it's for." "I know," Luma said softly. "But they don't." She sat beside him, the light from her arm casting gentle reflections on the wall. "Mother tries to protect you, but if the elders win, they will take you." Eli rubbed his face. "Great. So kindness becomes another reason to start a war." Luma looked down, whispering, "You shouldn't have helped me." Eli turned to her, firm but kind. "I'd do it again." Her silver eyes shimmered. "Even if it kills you?" He smiled sadly. "If it saves you, yeah." Luma's eyes filled with emotion. She reached out and touched his shoulder gently. The lights on her metal arm pulsed softly, spreading warmth through the air. For a second, Eli felt it. Not metal, not energy, but something human. Real warmth. The door burst open suddenly. A guard stepped in, his armor glowing red. "Engineer, you must come at once. The Queen requests you, now." Eli stood quickly. "What happened?" The guard's eyes flickered. "The elders have made their move." They hurried down the corridor. The walls glowed with warning light, deep crimson pulses running through the veins of the ship. When they entered the main chamber, Eli froze. The Queen stood surrounded by angry elders. A giant holographic image of Luma's arm floated above them, data streams pulsing from it. The oldest elder shouted, "This creation consumes our light. It grows each day. It could overtake us all." The Queen's voice was calm but cold. "You fear what you do not understand." Another elder struck his staff to the floor. "You protect the human. You risk our kind for a stranger." Eli stepped forward. "Stop blaming her. I'm the one who built it." The chamber fell silent. All eyes turned toward him. The Queen's gaze softened slightly. But before she could speak, alarms echoed through the ship, deep, heavy tones that shook the air. A soldier ran in, shouting, "Unknown vessels approaching." "Not ours." Eli's blood ran cold. "Humans." The Queen's expression hardened. "No, something worse." The lights in the chamber flickered, the floor trembling beneath their feet. Luma ran to Eli, clutching his hand. "What's happening?" He stared at the ceiling as shadows moved across the light. "Someone's coming," he whispered, "and they're not here to talk." The alarm still echoed through the Queen's ship. A deep pulsing sound that shook the walls like a heartbeat gone wild. Eli Turner stood beside Luma, watching the light in the chamber turn red. The Zaran guards rushed through the hallways, their armor glowing brighter with every alert. Through the transparent wall behind the Queen's throne, Eli saw the truth. A second fleet had entered orbit. Dark, cold, and bristling with weapons, ships without glow, without life, machines, built by something that understood war better than peace. The Queen's voice rang through the chamber. "Defensive walls up. Prepare the energy shields." Eli's heart pounded. "Who are they?" The Queen turned to him. Her expression was fierce now, all calmness gone. "Not yours, not mine. They feed on energy, on light. They destroy worlds and take what shines." Her gaze flicked to Luma's arm, still glowing softly. "They must have sensed the power you created." Eli froze. "You mean—" "They're here for the limb? For what it represents," the Queen said. "Human will. Zaron light. Life born from both." The ship shook. The floor tilted under their feet. Explosions flashed in the distance. Silent bursts of light outside the ship's shell. Guards shouted commands. The Queen's aura flared, bright gold as she activated a protective field. The energy rippled like fire across her throne. Eli grabbed Luma's hand. "We have to get you somewhere safe." Luma shook her head. "No, they will find me." The signal in the arm. It's calling to them. Eli looked at her glowing hand, his creation, her salvation, now a beacon for death. He clenched his jaw. Then we stop it. Luma's eyes widened. You can't. I built it, Eli said. I can shut it down. They ran through the corridors as the ship trembled around them. Fragments of glowing dust fell from the ceiling. Eli could feel the hum of the ship growing weaker. When they reached the energy chamber, a vast heart of crystal and light, the noise was deafening. Machines pulsed like thunder. Streams of pure power ran through transparent pipes that looked like arteries. Luma's arm glowed brighter and brighter, feeding off the ship's energy without control. Eli opened his tool bag, breathing fast. I'll reroute the signal. If I overload it, the energy will collapse inward. The Queen appeared behind them, her aura flickering with strain. You will die if you do that. Eli gave a small smile. I've been dead inside before. This time it might mean something. The Queen stepped closer. You are human. You should not carry our burden. He looked at her, calm and tired. Your child became mine the moment I decided to save her. Burden or not, I finish what I start. Luma's eyes filled with tears. Please don't leave me. Eli knelt, touching her cheek gently. You won't be alone. You'll have both of us, human and Zeran, inside that light. Always. The Queen's guards shouted as another explosion rocked the ship. Enemy vessels had broken through the outer shields. The Queen raised her hands, her power flaring outward, holding the barrier by sheer will. Do it, she shouted. Before it's too late. Eli connected the wires, typing quickly on the glowing console. The metal hummed beneath his fingers. Luma's arm shone like a star now, too bright to look at. The code completed. He exhaled. Goodbye, Luma. Eli, she cried, reaching out. The moment her metal hand touched his, light swallowed them both. The explosion was silent. A burst of white that filled the sky, brighter than the suns of 10 galaxies. Every sensor on every ship went blind for a heartbeat. When the light faded, the dark fleet was gone, vaporized. The Queen's ship floated silently, its hull cracked but alive. In the center of the energy chamber stood Luma, alive, surrounded by floating motes of golden light. Her mechanical arm was gone. In its place was something new, neither metal nor flesh, but living light shaped like her own hand. The Queen appeared beside her, tears in her shining eyes. She touched her daughter's face gently. Luma whispered, He's gone. The Queen looked toward the fading core. No, child. He became the light that saved us. Days later, silence returned to the stars. The Zeran fleet drifted in peace again, and word spread across the galaxy that a human had given his life to protect the Queen's child, binding two races that once hated each other. The Queen built a monument on Vera 9, a tower of silver and gold glowing faintly at night. On its surface were two symbols, a hand of metal and a hand of light joined together, and beneath it, a single inscription written in both languages. Kindness is the bridge between worlds. Years later, on Earth, a faint signal reached the deep space network, one no one could trace. It carried a simple message encoded in both human and Zeran code, a voice, soft, calm, and familiar. This is Eli Turner. If you hear this, know that we were never meant to fight the stars. We were meant to heal them. The message ended, replaced by a pulse of light shaped like a hand reaching out through the void. And somewhere beyond the stars, a young queen looked toward the same signal, her eyes shining softly as she whispered, He kept his promise.